Hi there, this is Kelly Dean from the Tummy Team, and we're going to do a Q&A today. We are answering questions about our Core Foundations program, our online functional core rehab program. So the Tummy Team specializes we're physical therapists. I'm a physical therapist, and we specialize in functional core rehab and specifically treat the conditions diastasis recti, but so much more. And you guys have lots of questions. We get questions, we answer questions online from our website and on Facebook and on Instagram all the time. And so each week this month, we're kind of talking a lot about each one of our courses and our programs. And we thought it'd be good to go live and answer your questions. So I have a list of questions that people have already sent in that I'm going to answer. But if you have questions as I'm talking, feel free to share those questions and I'll do my best. Okay. So we're just going to get right to it. And this is in not any particular order, just how they came in. So Samantha, she sent in a question that says, and this is a super common question, by the way, I have tried in-person PT to fix my diastasis recti, and it did not work. Why would I think online would be any better? Oh, goodness. We've heard this so many times. There's a couple reasons, right? So just to be fair, most of us were not, most physical therapists were not trained in how to treat diastasis recti in PT school. It's like a blink in the treatment information that we get when we're in school. So you really have to go on a search and on a quest to get additional information about this and how to treat it. And when you do that, there's a lot of confusing information out there. And so it's often a lot of people think they're going in for treatment for their diastasis and end up getting pelvic floor care, which the core and pelvic floor are connected, but it's different. It's a different treatment process. So a lot of times they'll say, oh, let's work on your pelvic floor and that will help your core. And sometimes it does, but often it doesn't treat the whole issue. Or they are put in with somebody that says, oh yeah, I can treat that because I know how to treat the core. But this is not a typical core condition. This is a separation of your abdominal wall, and there's usually specific things that have contributed to it. A lot of it is prenatal and postpartum, but not all of that is. So it's really important for you to look at a specialist. So just because, and then there's also the case that there's different types of PTs. There's different types of approaches that might make more sense to you and your process. So I would just encourage you not to give up. Don't give up. Just because you tried a PT or you tried something and it didn't work doesn't mean that you can't still heal. So and then we get the other side of that question that's kind of underneath what she said was like, okay, if it didn't work in person, how is it really going to work online? Well, that's a great question. People are often really surprised at how effective the online process is. Not all online programs are effective, but we figured this out, okay? Because I've been working with clients in the clinic for the last 10 years on this condition, and the online program pretty much anticipates what you're going to struggle with and is proactive in showing you how to deal with that. Okay, so I often have a nice setup week by week progression that makes sense. It's practical and it builds on one component on top of the other. And it's very comprehensive. We look at the emotional connection to the core. We look at how digestion and how your bowel movements are affecting it. We look at your posture and alignment. We look at your how you're lifting and what you're doing in maybe your parenting or your work postures all day long. We look at things that you might have been doing in your exercise routines that with the best intentions are actually causing more of a problem. We look at this muscle imbalance. It's a very comprehensive approach and it makes sense. And people are very, very successful at it. So just because you haven't had success in person doesn't mean that online won't work and doesn't mean that the Tummy Team can't help you. So I'd also encourage you to look at the reviews of our Core Foundations and our Core Foundations for Men program on our website because It's really fun to hear other people's stories, and they're very honest about sharing their doubts and skepticisms when they started as well, right? So I just want you to not give up. Okay, don't give up. All right. The next question is from Bev, and she says your courses are 8 weeks long. Some of them are 6 weeks long, but 8 weeks long. But with only 10 weeks of access, why can't I just own it and work at my own pace? So this is not a fitness exercise program that you just like get an exercise DVD and you do it every day and you do it when you want to do it. This is a rehab program, and rehab works best when one piece builds on the next piece and builds on the next piece, and you don't give too much time between the first piece and the second piece. The timing of when we implement things is really key to the success of people's program. And our ultimate goal is for people to be successful. And so it also helps you to be accountable and commit. So we want you to know that this is just not an ongoing, I'll take my time. And we all know this. This is human nature. Like, we have all been where we bought an exercise membership and we went willy-nilly here or there. But if you pay for a personal trainer and you have an appointment, boy, you're there each time. Or if you're a part of a team and they have practices at a certain time, you're definitely going to go. And if you have a goal at the end of it, you're definitely going to make it. So it's accountability. It's encouraging you to be consistent, and it's also respecting what your body needs to heal. And it needs a consistent challenge without too much challenge at the time. All right, how much commitment is needed for the program? A daily estimate. Great question. So the process is you get access to your first week's videos as soon as you activate your program. So you buy your program. It doesn't activate automatically. You buy your program, and you enroll when you're ready to start. And I always encourage people to enroll on the day of the week where they can carve out about an hour and a half for themselves to watch all of the videos. There's downloads and print offs and stuff, so you can write notes on all of the handouts. And you watch the videos kind of in one sitting. You can break it up a little bit because they're shorter videos, so you could do like 5 minutes here or there. But I like for you to try to get them all in on that first day or two, because we give you strategies to implement in your day throughout the week. Okay, so if you watch the videos throughout the week and then next week's videos become active, you haven't actually done the exercises and the activities that we've asked you to do, and now you have new information. And this is how people get behind. So if you start, you kind of say, okay, Sunday evenings are going to be my time that I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend about an hour and a half watching the videos, taking notes, and then our process helps you implement it into your day. So you might have a total of maybe 30 minutes of actual specific exercises, stretches, activities that you do, but it's rarely 30 minutes all at once. It's how you're sitting in the car, how you're breathing after you birth the baby. It's how you, we build it into when you're brushing your teeth, you do this stretch. After you've been sitting at the desk for a certain period of time, you work on this. This is how you walk. This is how it's more about intentionality than it is about a set number of exercises you checked off necessarily. We do have checkoff sheets because some of you guys like to check off, but it's more about building it into your lifestyle and integration. So it's really not that big of a commitment every day. It's more about an intentionality. And I really give you a lot of strategies to help you be successful, because I am the worst ever PT client. If you give me exercises laying down on the floor to do 3 times a day, you might get me doing them twice a week. And I could be really motivated, but it's just that's laying down on the floor makes me feel like I have to vacuum or sleep or something. I mean, it's just not very practical. But if you tell me how to activate my core and work on my upper back alignment while I'm driving my kids to and from karate and to and from soccer, I will absolutely get that done. So I really look at things that seem to be practical ways for you to pull it into your life. Okay, so I would say it's maybe 30, 45 minutes a day, but not all at once, kind of spread out throughout the day. It's more of a mindset. And then it's about an hour and a half of videos once a week. Okay. So that's why we do that, Bev. That was a good question. All right. My next question is from Jake. Jake says, I just got back into working out consistently, trying to lose this gut. We all know that, right? Can I still work out while I'm doing core foundations for men? I don't want to lose ground. Oh, goodness. This is so common, and it's especially common with men, where they're like sick of it and they finally get into some workout and they start doing a lot of exercises. And then all of a sudden they notice that they have this trench or this bulging, and they go to the doctor and they think they have a hernia, but it doesn't hurt. It just looks weird. And then their stomach is like bulging out even more, even though they've been doing lots and lots of traditional core work that they used to do when they were younger. And the doctor tells them they have a diastasis, but sorry, what can you do about that? And so they don't, people have just gotten that motivation to exercise, and it's hard to hear us say, we want you to hold off on your exercises a little bit to do some rehab. So the reality is, often with the best intention, sometimes the exercises we're doing are part of the problem. Okay. And, we just know what we know until we know better. And a lot of the traditional kind of crunching and V-sits and even stuff like burpees, even planks where you kind of tuck your tail and brace your tummy, can all put a lot of pressure out on your abdominal wall, which can actually cause the diastasis and create pretty significant compensation patterns in your body that aren't actually strengthening your core. And so when we start the rehab process, we're really retraining your brain-body connection. And we want your brain to reconnect to that internal corset that makes you long, lean, and lifted, pulls your waist in, makes you tall, stabilizes everything, that maybe right now feels like a deflated balloon around your waist. That muscle is the muscle we need to reconnect to. But if you are doing exercises that really challenge your body and push out, or make your glutes clench all the time, or your shoulders round, or you hold your breath and bear down, or your rectus abdominis, the outer muscle, is really getting overdeveloped and tight, or your hip flexors are really tight, then it's really hard. Those muscles are kind of like really loud voices in the room, and your transverse is like a whisper. And your transverse is that corset muscle. And it's really hard to hear that whisper, right? So our goal is to quiet the room down and spend some time waking up that voice and that connection to that voice, getting you in the right alignment and quieting down your compensation patterns so that you get a balance between the internal and external, and you know where that muscle is. It's one of the biggest muscles in your body. I guarantee you have it, and I guarantee you just don't know how to access it. And the activation of this muscle is what closes the diastasis and keeps it closed. But it's also what supports your spine, and what stabilizes your pelvis and stabilizes your upper back and flattens your belly, and supports your pelvic floor. It's connected to that and supports your digestive system. So it's a big picture thing. So hold off, and we give you instructions in the program. You can do some low impact cardio in the beginning. Hold off on the heavy duty exercise just for a small season. And then we're going to get you back into it, doing it the most effective way. We want you to get the most bang for your buck. Okay. So you won't lose ground. You'll actually gain ground, because the whole reason, remember, Jake, the whole reason what you were working out was to lose your gut. And that's not happening with what you're doing, right? So let us help you do that. Okay. Let us help you strengthen the muscle that actually pulls your waist back in and supports your body. And then from there, we'll have the solid foundation that you can build that workout back onto. All right. I want you to work out too. I just want you to do the right things for the right reasons to get the right results. All right. Okay. Now we got one from Instagram, and she shared a little bit about how her diastasis, she's done some rehab, and her diastasis has not closed at the navel. And she has been really fit, but she had 2 really big babies. and now she feels like she has a hole in her belly and is like kind of feeling very discouraged. Okay, so thank you for your question. And I would like to say that, first of all, when your diastasis is related to a pregnancy, the most common spot for it to be deep and wide is right at the belly button. That's the weakest area in your belly for the uterus to be pushing out on, and the connective tissue naturally stretches excessively there because that's where it was open when you were a baby and your umbilical cord came out. So there's already a little bit of a weak spot right at the belly button. So that's the place that's going to stretch the most. So as you heal, it's really common for the upper part of the connective tissue and the lower part to heal kind of like this, and then belly button to be the last place to heal. Okay, just because it's slower to heal doesn't mean it won't heal. There's a couple of things that can be limited if you've already done rehab. I don't know if you've done our course. If you've done our course and it's still open, I would really encourage you to do an e-session with me, because I can be very specific on why that's happening with you. If you haven't done core foundations yet, I would recommend you doing core foundations, because that'll probably close it up. But there are a couple reasons. If I'm going to assume you've done the course, but it's still not healed, okay? Because I'm going to talk about that. There's a couple reasons that might happen. I'm not sure if you're still nursing, but if you're still nursing, the connective tissue can sometimes stay a little bit loose until 3 months after you're completely weaned from nursing. Okay, so it could be a hormonal. It could be that this is just the last place to heal and there needs to be some time and consistency. It could be because you're disconnected from that area, and that's where we implement some abdominal massage right along the borders of that area. We do some circular massage, and we teach you how to do this in our online program. We kind of massage the rectus abdominis, so those borders that might be really overdeveloped and tight might be keeping the connection from coming back together, or might need some blood flow into that area. And then there's also some sensory stuff we can do where we really target just one area. And this is also true if you have a really stuck spot at the bottom or at the top, and you know it's closed in other places. There might be a disconnect that we need to do some isolated kind of manual connection where you kind of press those two pieces together as you're doing some of the rehab exercises. It's been surprising. I have seen clients that are kind of stuck in that spot, and I do some abdominal massage in the clinic and then do a couple of targeted breaths where I actually pull the muscles together and hold them in that area for like a 5-10 seconds. And when we do it again, and I hold it in that area, which I can teach you to do on your own body. And then they do a couple breaths and boom, it comes in. And then we check and it already is starting to be smaller. And that's a really immediate reaction. It needs to be ongoing for it to be a lasting reaction, or, you know, change in that connective tissue, but it's totally possible. So I would say if you haven't done the program yet, I'd really encourage you to look at core foundations. If you've done it and you want to just do an e-session with me so we can really target why it's stuck there, I love doing that with people. I love helping you kind of figure out that problem solving. Okay. And our e-sessions are on our website as well. And we'll put a couple links in there on how you can just do a 30-minute e-session with me where I can see what's going on and ask you some questions, or we can do a whole hour where we get into a lot more depth. Okay. All right. Another one from Instagram, kind of like Jake's. Can I still do CrossFit while I am doing core rehab? And then I think she also said on there that she's been holding off on doing it because she just loves strength training. Boy, do I hear you. It's good to feel strong. It's good to do those exercises. So my answer is similar to my answer with Jake, where it really depends on what you're doing. So CrossFit can be amazing and it can be really detrimental. It can be amazing because it's a ton of variety, There's all kinds of options of things you do. If something doesn't work for you, you can do a totally different exercise. There's a community there, so there's a lot of accountability, and it does make you feel really strong. But CrossFit also keeps a lot of PT clinics and chiropractic clinics in business because of injuries, because that community sometimes pushes you to do stuff that you are not ready to do, or you're not in tune with your body enough, and you're powering through exercises, powering through wetting your pants, powering through pain, holding your breath and bearing down, or bracing your stomach to do things because you want to keep up with the group. And as a result, you compensate, and that causes an injury. And then the injury is so demoralizing that now you've lost this amazing community and this thing that makes you feel strong, which I hate when that happens. I want you to do the things you love. So what I would say is, in the first couple of weeks of the core rehab process, we give you some pretty strong recommendations to not do strength, resistance training, strength training, high impact activities, or anything that you would really push yourself with high intensity. We do a low impact type walking, swimming, maybe upright bike type stuff, and some gentle stretches maybe. And then we're going to build you back into it, because likely if you have a diastasis and you're doing CrossFit and it's not getting better, then we need to retrain your brain body connection. Okay. And we want that to happen. We want to get you really strong, and then you will be much smarter. You're going to be your best coach to know what's going to make the most sense for your body. And we always have to remember, why are we working out? We're working out because we want to be strong, right? We want to be strong, and we want to be able to do the things we like to do without pain, right? And sometimes we set fitness goals, but sometimes we lose sight of what we really want in our body, and we're so focused on the fitness goal that we kind of miss out that, oh gosh, I'm hurting in the rest of my life, but I still have to hit this goal. So I just want you to be smart about the whole picture, the big picture. And I work with a lot of people that do CrossFit. I'm not anti-CrossFit. I'm anti-hurting yourself. That's what I am anti. I want you to, this is the only car, the only body is like the only car you get to drive your whole life. And I want you to know how to take care of it, and I want it to last you and be really strong. So that's why we ask you to just hold off for a little bit. And then as you transition back in, it'll be even better than it was before. Okay. I got another question on Instagram a minute ago. Is it worth healing the diastasis before having another baby? Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of people, and I had this mindset myself, it's like, well, I'm going to have more kids, so what's the point? It's just going to get all stretched out again. Well, the reality is, pregnancy and birth is really hard when you have a weak core and a diastasis. It makes the pregnancy very difficult. It can make the birth very difficult, and it can make birth recovery very difficult. It's like, the birth and pregnancy is one of the most physically challenging things you're going to do in your life. You want to go into it as strong and connected as possible. So yes, even though the next pregnancy, hormones and stretching is going to have an effect on your body, everything you do to rehab your core prior to getting pregnant again will be worth every single second that you invest in it. I guarantee it. You will not regret it. It'll be so worth it. And even if you, sometimes people got pregnant again before they were able to heal their diastasis, do our prenatal core training course. We can actually help you strengthen your core and prepare for the birth and the birth recovery while you're pregnant. And it's so important. So don't wait. I would say the number one thing when I talk to clients, the number one thing that everybody says, I wish I had done this before I was pregnant. I wish I had done this between my pregnancies. I wish I had done this when I was pregnant. That is absolutely what everybody says. So don't wait. The injury becomes cumulative, okay? And it's always good for you to know how to take care of yourself. And that's the tools we're giving you. Okay. We're going to give you tools that are very encouraging. You're going to feel very empowered. You're going to feel like your old self again. And it's totally worth it. So I would absolutely, if you have the ability, I'm not saying don't get pregnant again until it's healed. because things happen and maybe we want to have another baby. But don't let the fact that you're going to have another baby keep you from rehabbing your core, okay? Because we can help you with that. All right. All right, I have a couple more questions. Allie, she's in week 3 of our core foundations and loving it. That makes me so happy. Trying to be consistent. That's all we ask. Try to be consistent. Consistency is key. And then her first question is, when can I jog or run or jump, bounce up and down again? Do I have to close my diastasis completely before I can do that? Well, we actually will address this in your program. And it's, you don't have to close it completely, but what we do want is your core to be very connected and strong. We want you to be able to be in upright alignments, standing, and do what we call active walking, which we teach you in some in week 3, more in week 4 and 5, I think. And then, and we kind of just keep reinforcing it. We want you to be in optimal neutral pelvic alignment and long, lean, and lifted postures. And then we start you out with like a walk run or a walk trot so that you can slowly build up the connection and endurance of the postural muscles that need to be connected when you do impact, okay? So a diastasis is telling you that your core has functional core weakness. You cannot have a functionally strong core and it be separated when it's supposed to be like this, all right? So the fact that you still have a diastasis means that your core is not as closed as it needs to be really functional. But you can have a closed diastasis and still have an inactive core. But you can't have an open diastasis and have an active core, if that makes sense. If you do a lot of high impact stuff too soon and your core cannot support your body and your organs, the organs have one option to drop down into your pelvic floor. And that leads to stress incontinence and prolapse, pelvic floor pain, and SI, pubic bone instability. And I can tell you that preventing pelvic floor issues is a million times easier than repairing pelvic floor issues. Okay, so you may not have pelvic floor issues and you feel really great and you start running and start jumping and start doing those things a little too soon and it's going to fall into your pelvic floor. So we're not trying to be mean when we say don't run yet, or we're not trying to limit you. We're trying to protect you so that you have the foundational strength you need so that you don't create a bigger problem in your body. All right. And people that have prolapse will absolutely be saying to me, I wish somebody had told me not to run so soon. Everybody was running and I was just trying to keep up with everybody. And so I'm here to tell you, I'm not trying to be mean. I just want you to hold back a little bit. But we do get a lot of people back to running and jogging. We just need to give that strength. So in the program, we give you guidelines. If you can do this, you can try this. And then listen to your body, see how it responds. If you have this, you can do this. So with running, you want to be able to actively walk with good form and then do some walk runs without any leakage or heaviness in your pelvic floor or increased low back pain. If you can do that, you can do a little bit more and you just build it up a little bit at a time and giving yourself 2 days recovery to really see what your symptoms are. Because sometimes you feel great right after, right? It's, I ran like the wind. I feel like I'm doing something again. And then 2 days later, you sneeze and wet your pants and you're like, oh my gosh, that's never happened before. So really pay attention to what your body's telling you so that we can, you might just have to slow down and strengthen and give your body some more consistency and active walking before we get into that. And your second question was sleeping positions. We get this so much. I think I need to add a video into our course about sleeping positions. My general thing about sleeping positions is sleeping is passive. Your core strength is mostly related to your functional alignments, upright alignments. And when you're laying down and sleeping, your tummy's not doing a whole lot. So and sleep is so important. Most of our clients are getting so little sleep because they have babies or kids or they're stressed out or they're working too much. So sleep is an essential part of your healing process, right? It's a resource for you. Nutrition, hydration, and rest are how our bodies heal. So I want you to sleep. And the position you sleep helps you sleep, then I want you to sleep that way. That being said, sometimes when we're sleeping, we feel like our tummy is hanging out and there's a lot of pressure put on the diastasis. So in that case, I would use a pillow to support your tummy and to support your back, and maybe a pillow between your knees to keep your pelvis in a good alignment. And those are things that can really help you kind of not, even though it's passive, not as you're sleeping, rest into the ligament laxity that might be present in your pelvis or in your diastasis. Some people will splint when they sleep. If they really are waking up with pain, they have a big diastasis, splinting while you sleep sometimes feels really good. I loved it when I was in the rehab process. But if I would put it on now, I'd be like, I can't sleep with this. So you'll have to just play around with that. All right, another question online here. Have you found that clients with significant trauma, including labor-related, emotional, or physical trauma, make for greater rectus diastasis issues? So I don't know if they make for greater issues, but I can tell you it is connected. I would say that I have a lot of people that have trauma, whether it's a birth trauma or a sexual abuse trauma or fertility trauma or chronic pain is another form of trauma. Trauma stores, emotional pain stores in the body in physical ways. And a lot of the trauma that the clients that I see, men and women, is kind of right here, between your pelvis and your rib cage. And you kind of feel it kind of in your gut, so to speak. And our body has a survival technique to withdraw from pain, right? When we have something that that causes us pain, we instinctively withdraw from it. Think about your hand hot and you pull away from it, right? So when we withdraw from pain and we stay withdrawn from the area that reminds us of pain, then it leads to a physical neglect of that muscle. And since the core muscles are postural, respiratory, and digestive in nature, the internal core muscles support your organs and support your posture all day long. So these muscles are required for all day activation and connection. And if you're disconnected from those, withdrawn from it, and maybe living in protective postures or parenting postures because it was a birth trauma and now you have a baby, then you're not using that muscle very much, and it's called disuse atrophy. Our bodies are use it or lose it system. When you don't use the muscle atrophies, and when it atrophies in, it's harder to feel. And I'm sure you've heard the term. It's very difficult to heal something you can't feel, and so that's all part of it. So as a result, in our women's program, we have a grief a routine and a grief series of videos that we talk about addressing abdominal trauma. And I do talk about that multiple times throughout our course. We talk, one of the reasons that we have abdominal massage early on in the course is to increase that brain-body sensory connection and getting blood flow into the area and reconnecting to a muscle that we've disconnected from. And trying to heal some of that. So that's really important to my heart, to not ignore and not run from the trauma that people experience, but actually to help them kind of run in and hug that space and nurture that space and help people kind of get through it and get on the other side and really heal physically, but also the emotional component of that. So I hope that answered your question. All right, I got a couple more questions. One from Katie. How soon postpartum can I start core foundations? Super common question, because a lot of times we think, okay, well, 6 weeks, is when I get, I see the doctor and they tell me I can do stuff. Well, first thing you need to recognize is Core Foundations is a rehab program, not a fitness program. It starts out with posture, breathing, sitting alignment, abdominal massage, really connecting. And you honestly could start it 2 days after birth if you wanted to. Most of my mamas don't have the mental capacity to watch videos and really interpret that information at that stage. For that reason, often in our prenatal course, we give you an initial postpartum plan to already be thinking of prior to delivery, so that you have some specific things you can be working on for those first couple of weeks while your brain is kind of coming back online. But physically, you could do the program at any point. Usually mentally, I tell people, when you feel like you can watch videos and ingest new information. But there's stuff that we teach you pretty early on that can be so valuable almost immediately postpartum. And it's not physically taxing in the way that you would think. So it's rehab, and you can do it pretty early on. I would say on average, most people start around, if they start around 6 weeks. It seems like 6 weeks, you kind of have an idea what your baby needs, right? And the baby's maybe sleepy just a little bit more, maybe, but you at least have some kind of routine. So that seems to be the time that people start. All right. Oh, this is a good one. This is from Lila, and she says, I am not sure if I have a diastasis, but my sister recommended Core Foundations, good old sister, because of all my other issues. I have low back pain, I have sciatica, I have terrible, horrible posture, the worst posture you've ever seen, and my back goes out at times, etc., etc. Should I even do Core Foundations if I don't have a diastasis? Of course. So we talk a lot about diastasis recti because it's the condition that people are diagnosed with that they don't have any hope for. But the bigger overlying condition is functional core weakness. It's the inability of your core muscles to hold you up to do the functional things you need to do every day. And as a result, that with a lot of forward forceful pressure can cause the diastasis. But you can have all of those other symptoms, all the symptoms that you're saying, your low back pain, the sciatica, the terrible posture, your back goes out, that's instability. All of that stuff is all connected. And that's what we treat, and that's what we address. It's good that you don't have a diastasis. You don't have to deal with the connective tissue problem, but you still don't have a functioning core muscle. Just the terrible posture alone tells me that, but also low back pain is super common when your core is weak. But sciatica is a really common symptom of overusing your glutes to stabilize your back and stabilize your pelvis because your core's not doing it. Your instability, the back going in and out, is part of that as well. And then also, as you get stronger, you're able to hold yourself up better. So anyway, yes, do the program. Do the program. It'll be great for you. Your sister knows you, and she knows why she's recommending it. Don't take it personally. When somebody recommends this course to you, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, do you think I have a big tummy? Or you think this, or you think that? You know what they really think is, hey, this helped me, and I want you to have that same experience. It's a love thing, okay? All right, my last question, unless anybody sends some in, my last question today is, this is from... Oh, I don't have a name. I don't have a name for this one. Okay. My doctor told me that rehab does not work for DR. Basically, live with it or get cosmetic surgery. Why do you say any differently? Boy, that name could have been about 100 people that have said that to me, including myself, right? My doctor said the same thing to me. Historically, doctors don't really have a good treatment plan, and PTs haven't had a good treatment plan for diastasis recti. And usually they haven't known how, like they've sent people to PT and they haven't seen any difference. So they're like, it doesn't work. And cosmetic surgery does make your tummy look better and can repair some of the damage, but it's cosmetic, it's not covered by insurance, and it doesn't actually repair muscles. And this is a muscle strength imbalance issue, okay? And surgery doesn't make your muscles stronger. It actually hurts your muscles and you have to rehab from the surgery, right? So the doctor just doesn't know this isn't his area of specialty, and that's okay. Against what you might think, doctors don't know everything about everything. They know what they've been exposed to and what they've learned and what they've seen, and they're incredibly knowledgeable, but this may not be their specialty. Even if hernia surgeries and cosmetic surgery is their specialty, rehab is not their specialty. And I have to say that a lot of PTs don't know how to treat this. We're trying to change that. We have a training program. We work with professionals around the world helping share this information. But I just really think that it can work, okay? I had a 6-finger wide diastasis and I thought surgery was the only option, and it has been closed for 10 years now. So it is absolutely possible. We see it every day. Our whole business is built around this. You can read our reviews. You can look at our programs. It's just, this is our specialty, and you know what you know until you know better, and they just don't know. So, okay, I have one more question. What do you recommend for a pregnant mama, number 7, congratulations, to wear for round ligament pain during pregnancy? Belts are uncomfortable and things on my belly are uncomfortable that I've tried. Okay, so round ligament pain is super common, and it's part of a normal pain thing. But when you're having a lot of it, the round ligaments are the ligaments that are trying to hold your uterus up, okay? And so they're stretching, and they kind of will kind of catch in that stretching. And what really helps hold your uterus up is your core muscles, your transverse abdominis that wraps around and pulls the belly up and in. So you could put a belt on, you could put a splint on, which will give you some temporary support, but it's not actually solving the problem. What we want to do is reconnect to that muscle, and it doesn't matter that this is baby number 7. This is a great time to start. I would recommend you do prenatal core training. Look at our prenatal core training and see, because if we can get your pelvis in the right alignment and start having you connect to your transverse, it's pretty remarkable how much those muscles can build to kind of help support the uterus, and it takes pressure off the ligaments that are trying to do the work. The muscles should be kind of the first line of defense, and the ligaments should be the second line of defense. And your muscles are not doing enough of the work, so the ligament is really straining. So there's natural stretches that are supposed to happen in the ligaments, but it's when it's really agonizingly pain and catching all the time, that's kind of miserable. And we want you to feel stronger going in. When you have pain like that, it limits all these other things that you do, right? And we want you to be active and feeling strong going in, okay? One more. Not sure if you answered this before, but could the men's core program be helpful for healing an inguinal hernia? And will this live be saved? Yes, we always record the lives and then post them later so that you can watch them after. So that's a different type of hernia. It's in a different area. So usually that's a surgery procedure, because there's different parts of connective tissue in the abdominal wall, and that's kind of more down in the groin. So even though this core work will be really helpful, probably post-procedure, to help you avoid whatever pressure you might have been pushing out on that area, that's kind of a hernia that probably needs a surgical repair. But core foundations for men would be what you would do after that. So because hernias are often caused from constant pushing out, just like on a diastasis, constant pushing out on the abdominal wall, and then the areas of connective tissue are weakened, and it can push right through, like your organs, your intestinal tract will push right through. And so that's usually a surgery or a injury that happens right where the muscles. If you think about the picture of the muscles kind of come down toward the pubic bone. So there's a space between two muscle groups that make it very vulnerable if you're doing a lot of bracing or a lot of lifting or a lot of holding your breath and pressure out. So we want to change that strategy. You could also do our core preparation for abdominal surgery. It's a 4-week program going into the surgery that is sometimes pretty amazing. It's not going to keep you from having that surgery, but it is going to help you have a better post-surgical recovery, and that could be a really good option for you. Do we accept insurance for programs? Unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover online yet, not for PT. And so medical insurance, and understandably, most physical therapists are best done in person. The approach we have is very specific to teaching you how to do things on yourself, and it is rehab, but most programs or most physical therapists don't have that approach. And so insurance hasn't consistently covered it. But the health savings accounts will often cover it, and we can send you a receipt that shows that it's a medical approach and medical program. So that can sometimes be helpful. And one of the things that's you need to recognize is, like, these programs are between $120 and $160. And if you look at your deductible or you look at your copays for the care you're getting, I bet you're paying more in those anyway. So yes, I recognize it is an investment, but it is a really well used investment. Okay. All right, those are my last questions, and we've been doing this for about 45 minutes, so I'm sure you guys have heard me enough. We're going to try to do this each week where we answer your questions, so if you have more questions, just post them online, post them on our page. We can answer your questions not online as well, or not on the Facebook Lives. We're here to support you and be a resource. We want you to feel validated, so you know, like, you're not going crazy if your body doesn't feel quite right. We want to educate you on what's going on in your body. I think education is power. This, like I said, this is your body. I want you to know how it's communicating to you, what it's saying. And I also want you to have resources. So we have our online programs. Our Core Foundations program is really effective and really popular. Our Core Foundations for Men is really effective. We have a lot of men in that program right now doing a great job. And we just want you to know what's available. We have a lot of free resources on our website, thetummyteam.com, as well. So check those free resources out. And we'll put a couple of resources in our comment section so you can look at them. And let us know how we can help you. All right. Thanks, guys. You guys have a great day.